Hello, everybody, and welcome. We've got ourselves something a little different. This is the dumbest home intruders who died in those brutal ways possible. A fellow named Chalkline. I should totally check his ass out. Anyway, let's get this started, shall we? This looks very interesting.
Number 1. Cody Caldwell.
Hey, Cody.
19-year-old Cody Caldwell climbed up onto the roof of a secluded ranch house out on West Gale Avenue.
Really? Like, I've heard stories of people getting stuck, like, in commercial chimneys before. You know, like, they try to go into, a restaurant or whatever, and the cops have to break the whole fucking wall and get them out. I know people did that in homes.
It was late Friday night, November 27th, 2015, in a real...
Oh, shit. That was like, just after Thanksgiving. Holy shit.
really quiet, rural part of Huron, California.
Right.
The homeowner wasn't even there, so the place was completely dark and looked
like I said, Thanksgiving. Dude's probably out, enjoying it with his family somewhere else, visiting the grandparents, the parents, whatever,
like an easy target. But instead of messing with windows or trying to kick a door in, Cody decided to try something else. He went straight for the chimney, stepped over the edge, and started sliding himself down into the dark, thinking he was just going to drop right into the living room. But as his boots slipped further down into that narrowing brick chute, Cody had no idea he was stepping into a total death trap. And by the time the sun came up the next day, this routine break-in was about to turn into one of the most terrifying, claustrophobic nightmares you could possibly imagine. Cody had selected the property because it sat in an isolated stretch of Fresno County, far from the immediate sight of neighbors or path.
Ah. So this isn't even suburban, this is straight rural. He got his distance in, made sure nobody was gonna see him. Which makes his decision to not use a window even more weird.
Traffic. The home was entirely empty when he made his move.
Right.
However, his plan relied on a fundamental misunderstanding of how residential chimneys are built. They are not wide, straight shafts from top to bottom. As you descend, the flue gradually narrows until it reaches its tightest point near the bottom, an area known as the throat.
Oh shit, seriously? I'm not sure if that's how chimneys always been, but kind of makes you wonder how the whole legend of Santa Claus going down the chimney got started. Like, cause this sounds like a great way for a fat bastard like that to get cooked alive.
It is designed that way to regulate airflow and direct smoke out of the house. Cody made it partway down before the walls closed in around him. He could not continue downward, and he could not climb back out. Wedged tightly inside the narrow brick flue, he was trapped in complete darkness inside a house where no one was home.
Bro.
No one outside knew he was there. He stayed in that position through the entire night of November 27th and into the morning of November 28th. There was no way to call for help without drawing attention to the fact that he was inside someone else's chimney.
And? Bro, at that point, you're already fucking, you're already fucked. So you might as well try to unfuck yourself somehow. Granted, they're far away from anybody, so who the hell knows if anybody's gonna hear him.
And there was no way to free himself. The home was surrounded by farmland, and the nearest neighbors were hundreds of feet away.
Oof.
It was the kind of place where someone could be trapped for hours without anyone realizing it. The following afternoon, at approximately 2:50 p.m., the homeowner returned after being away for the weekend.
Okay.
As he entered the house, he noticed signs that someone had been inside. With several recent burglaries reported in the area, he immediately suspected his home had been targeted. He later told deputies he believed someone got into the house, that whoever it was, they got in through the chimney, but he did not know the person was still in there. Cody, by that point, had been trapped inside the flue for somewhere between 12 and 18 hours.
Bro, if the instant I hear that fucking door opening, I'm screaming my fucking head off, bro. Like, at this point, you already going to prison anyway, right? It's better than any other outcome, right?
Because the afternoon air was cold, the homeowner walked over to the living room fireplace to start a fire.
Yo!
He stacked kindling, ignited the wood, and waited for the room to warm up. He was entirely unaware that Cody was trapped directly inside the flue just a few feet above the hearth.
Shit.
Almost immediately, the firebox failed to draft properly. Instead of channeling up the chimney, thick, heavy smoke began backdrafting into the living room, quickly filling the house. Moments later, the homeowner heard a man screaming from inside the brickwork. Realizing an intruder was trapped within the flue, the homeowner immediately worked to extinguish the flames by throwing water onto the fire and evacuated the smoky interior. After making several unsuccessful attempts to reach and free Cody, the homeowner called 911. First responders from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office and CAL FIRE arrived at the scene on West Gale Avenue.
Shit. Dude, damn. Dude got cooked. Dude actually got cooked for real.
At approximately 3 to 8 p.m. Upon entering the home, deputies and firefighters confirmed that Cody was still alive and breathing inside the chimney, though he was suffering from the acute effects of heat and smoke accumulation.
Yeah, I bet. Like, why didn't he start yelling? Like, did he not hear the door open? Did he not hear the fucking the wood getting thrown into the hearth? Like, cause like I said, man, if I heard that shit, I'm fucking yelling and screaming. I'm causing all kind of scene.
Firefighters climbed onto the roof and immediately began breaking apart the chimney with drills, chisels, and sledgehammers in an effort to reach Cody. It was slow, painstaking work. Every brick had to be removed carefully because there was very little room to work, and one wrong move could have caused more harm to the man trapped inside. They spent roughly 45 minutes working to breach the chimney wall.
Jeez.
By the time firefighters finally reached Cody and pulled him from the chimney, he had succumbed to his injuries. Paramedics pronounced the 19-year-old dead at the scene. Following a forensic autopsy by the Fresno County Sheriff Coroner's Office, the official cause of death was ruled as smoke inhalation and thermal burns.
Damn, so he actually did. Like, you hear sometimes people say that somebody got smoked when they get killed. This dude literally got smoked. Like, if I remember correctly, that's how they smoke meat, right? They put that shit in a box, and then they put a fire under it so that all the smoke floods the little space, and it kind of, smokes the meat. Dude, that's gotta be a fucking horrible way to go.
The investigation conducted by the Fresno County Sheriff's Office concluded that the homeowner had no prior knowledge of Cody's presence inside the chimney before lighting the fire. Law enforcement explicitly cleared him of any criminal liability, ruling the incident an entirely accidental tragedy brought about by the suspect's attempted burglary.
And now the dude's got to fix his chimney too, because they didn't reimburse him for that shit. Like, he either had to fix that shit or take it down and do something else for heating. And bro, either way, that's such a fucking bad break, man. Because that does not look like it'd be cheap to replace or repair,
Because Cody died during the commission of a felony, no criminal charges or prosecutions were pursued, closing the investigation into one of the most unusual and fatal extraction responses in the region's recent history.
I bet.
Number 2. Matthew Riggins.
Hey, Matty.
Matthew Riggins and his partner drove into Barefoot Bay, looking for an easy score. It was late on Thursday night, November 12th, 2015.
Wait a minute.
Score. Matthew Riggins and his partner drove into Barefoot Bay, looking for an easy score.
Oh, so he had a partner.
It was late on Thursday night, November 12th, 2015. And this specific neighborhood was full of seasonal retirement homes that sat completely empty for months out of the year. Dressed all in black, the two men moved silently between the properties, but their luck ran out just after midnight when a neighbor noticed them lurking behind houses and called the police. Deputies arrived and deployed K-9 units to track them down.
Oh shit, this happened here in Florida. Well, not here, but probably a little further up north.
The two men split up and bolted into the woods. Matthew could hear the dogs closing in behind him, so he scrambled toward the edge of a large lake on the southern end of the neighborhood,
shit.
thinking the water would cut off the scent trail.
Shit.
It seemed like the perfect hiding spot. He was wrong.
No, it's
By
not.
the time his family reported him missing the following day, he had already been in that lake for hours, long enough for something in the water to find him first.
Yep, that's a thing, especially in the middle of the state. You know, a lot of swampland, and and that means a lot of fucking really nasty creatures that'll fuck your shit up if you give them any chance.
To understand why Matthew ran toward the lake, you have to look at what he was up against on the shore. When the resident on Tequesta Drive called 911 at around 2 in the morning, the Brevard County Sheriff's Office didn't just send a single cruiser to check it out. They completely locked down the area. Deputies flooded the surrounding roads, ground units unclipped their tracking dogs, and a sheriff's helicopter took to the sky, sweeping the dense Florida tree line with a massive searchlight. Matthew and his accomplice were entirely cut off. When they split up in the dark, Matthew found himself totally on his own.
Ooh, I can see the logic of splitting up, right? Because like, if you're split up in a dark place, it's a lot harder for the cops to get both of y'all, because they gotta focus on one or the other, right?
Now, in the world of evading law enforcement, there's a common belief that if you jump into a body of water, you break your scent trail and completely defeat the tracking dogs. And to a point, that's true. The water masks the scent, leaving the dogs stranded at the shoreline. So, Matthew made his move.
Right.
He waded out into a large retention pond just north of Ocean Avenue Way. He got deep enough to submerge his body, keeping just his head above the black water.
That is not a good
While he was
idea.
floating out there, he even managed to pull out his phone and place a frantic call to his girlfriend, letting her know that the cops were everywhere, but he was lying low and hiding out until the perimeter cleared.
Wait, did the girlfriend know that he was robbing places? Like, does that put her in trouble for not telling the cops what's up? Not sure how that works.
It was the last time anyone would ever hear his voice. The police perimeter eventually wound down. The helicopter flew back to base, the deputies packed up their canines, and the neighborhood went completely quiet again. Matthew's plan to break his scent trail had technically worked against the police.
Technically.
But Matthew had forgotten the golden rule of surviving the Florida wetlands. You never, ever go into a retention pond at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oof.
And as Matthew floated there in the pitch black,
Yep.
waiting for the
Something
sirens to
noticed.
fade, his movements in the water created rhythmic vibrations.
Yep.
Vibrations that can be felt hundreds of yards away by an apex predator.
Yeah, that's the thing people don't realize. Like, these animals, they don't even need to hear or see you. They can feel where you at. And they can figure out where, just from the way the water's moving and shit, where exactly you are, and boom.
When Matthew didn't return home to Palm Bay the next day, his family grew desperate and officially reported him missing to the local police department. Days turned into a week, and a massive missing persons search began. But investigators had no idea where to look, because Matthew's partner, who had successfully escaped the police perimeter that night, completely refused to cooperate with detectives.
Can't blame him.
He invoked his right to remain silent, leaving Matthew's family and law enforcement completely in the dark.
Can't blame
For
him.
10 long days, nobody knew where Matthew Riggins had gone, until a group of local residents took a walk near the lake. On Monday, November 23rd...
You know what? Nah, I'm gonna take that back. I can blame the motherfucker. I mean, dude, it's your homeboy. Like, I get not talking to the police, but they're trying to save your boy's life. Like,
10 days after the initial burglary call, residents living near the pond noticed something floating near the mangroves. They called the sheriff's office, and a dive team was quickly dispatched to extract what was clearly a human body. But when the divers slid into the water, the recovery operation instantly turned dangerous. A massive 11-foot alligator emerged from the deep water, acting highly aggressive. It was
it's an alligator. They're almost always aggressive. You know, if you go where they are and you're fucking around with them, they're not gonna be friendly. They're not nice animals. They're very, very wicked.
wasn't just swimming by, it was actively circling the remains, fiercely guarding them from the divers. Sheriff's deputies had to wait for a licensed trapper from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission to arrive.
Right.
The trapper successfully captured and euthanized the animal.
Oh, they killed the fucking gator? He wasn't doing anything wrong. Just being a gator.
So the dive team could safely retrieve what was left of Matthew Riggins. When the medical examiner examined the body, the structural damage was horrific.
I bet.
Matthew was missing both of his lower legs and a portion of his arm.
Woo!
To confirm exactly what happened, wildlife officials conducted a forensic necropsy on the 11-foot alligator. Inside the reptile's stomach, they found the undeniable physical evidence of its final meal.
Yep.
Remains that perfectly matched the trauma on the 22-year-old suspect.
Yep.
The medical examiner's final report brought an end to the mystery, ruling that Matthew's official cause of death was actually drowning. This meant the alligator had ambushed him while he was still alive, dragging him under the surface in a standard predatory hold before consuming him. Because Matthew died during the commission of a felony, the burglary investigation against him was permanently closed. And because his accomplice completely refused to talk to homicide detectives, and there wasn't enough physical evidence to link him to a specific broken window or door from that night, he was never charged.
Oof. Man, talk about getting sold out, man. Oh, fuck. That's not a way anybody should go, man. Because that's the thing. That's nothing gators do. They don't just they're not content just to rip you apart on the surface. No, they'll drag your ass down if they can. Anything they need to do to get what they want from your body, that's what they're gonna do. We've all seen them do the death roll. The thing where they grab a part of an animal or whatever and just start rolling around till the motherfucking piece falls out. But that's not the only bag in it. That's not the only Chicken Day bag. Let me tell you what.
When local reporters interviewed the residents of Barefoot Bay about the horrific end to the break-in,
Jesus.
One neighbor didn't hold back, telling the local news, I would say it's poetic justice. Matthew Riggins waded into the water to escape a set of police handcuffs, but by choosing a dark Florida pond as his hiding spot, he bypassed a routine arrest and walked straight into a fatal ambush that no one could have saved him from. Number 3, Alex Binyam.
Yeah? Yeah, I bet doing a bid for burglary is looking a lot better than getting eaten by a fucking alligator, boy. Woo! Alex Binyam. Let's see what this motherfucker did.
It was around 10:30 on a bright Saturday morning, September 25th, 2021,
All right.
when a rural homeowner locked up his house on Walt Sanders Road and drove away for the day. Living out in the quiet, wooded countryside of Noonan, Georgia, he assumed his property was perfectly safe. But
It
just
never
a short
is.
time later, 21-year-old Alex Binyam Abraha approached the empty house and forced his way inside. Alex thought he had timed the break-in perfectly, selecting a moment when the property was completely vulnerable. But as the front door gave way, Alex walked straight into an immediate, violent ambush. And by the time the homeowner returned later that day, he would find a horrific scene waiting for him right on his own front porch.
Oh, that bad, huh?
Sanders Road sits deep in a heavily forested rural pocket of Coweta County. Out there, homes are spaced far apart, surrounded by dense stands of Georgia pines and acres of open space. Because neighbors aren't right on top of each other, the area can feel incredibly isolated.
So this is another one of those situations where it wasn't close to anybody who would hear him. Okay. One of those.
For someone running from active felony warrants up in the Atlanta metro area, a secluded house out in the countryside probably looked like the perfect place to breach undetected. The homeowner had packed up and left the property earlier that morning around 10:30,
Okay.
leaving the house completely vacant, or at least vacant of humans.
Oh.
What Alex didn't know when he jimmied the lock or forced his way
Oh.
through the entryway was that inside the quiet home were two large, highly territorial resident pit bulls. The moment Alex stepped through the front door and into the living room, he didn't find an empty house or a chance to quietly search for valuables.
Nah.
Instead,
He found
he was
dogs.
met by the homeowner's dogs. The moment they saw him, they went on the defensive. Inside the confined space of the home, there was nowhere to run and very little room to maneuver.
Yeah, at this point, I'm jumping out. I'm jumping out a window. I don't give a fuck, cause, bro, those two dogs look like they could fuck your shit all the way up. The one on the top right looked like he enjoyed it too.
What began as a burglary quickly turned into a desperate, violent struggle.
I bet.
Despite suffering catastrophic injuries during the attack, Alex somehow managed to break free from the dogs. Bleeding heavily and suffering from massive tissue damage,
Yeah.
he dragged himself back through the broken entryway and collapsed face down right on the front porch. The sheer amount of blood loss was too much for his body to handle, and he succumbed to his injuries within minutes, right there on the wooden steps.
Fuck, man. You fight that fucking hard, get out the house, and you die right there. Fuck me, I'm just glad the dogs didn't go up there and try to eat the fucking corpse.
Hours passed before the homeowner finally returned that afternoon. As he pulled into the driveway and walked toward the front door, he expected nothing more than an ordinary Saturday.
Yeah?
But as he reached the steps, he stopped dead in his tracks. Lying on his porch was the motionless body of a 21-year-old male stranger.
Could you imagine that? You go home after a long day doing whatever the fuck it is you're doing. You make it up to where your steps are. There's a dead person right there. You don't know why there's a dead person there. I imagine you're kind of afraid to go in your house after that, bro. I was like, what the fuck?
The homeowner immediately called 911.
I bet.
Within minutes, deputies from the Coweta County Sheriff's Office arrived and secured the scene. It didn't take long for them to realize this wasn't an ordinary break-in. There were signs of forced entry, a dead man lying on the porch, and 2 agitated dogs still inside the house.
All right.
Coweta County Animal Control arrived to take immediate, mandatory custody of both canines.
Bro, I hope they didn't kill the dogs. I hope they didn't kill the fucking dogs. They didn't do nothing wrong.
While investigators processed the scene, the body was transported to the Medical Examiner's Division of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for a full forensic examination.
Right.
Within days, the GBI officially identified the decedent as Alex Binyam Abraha and ruled the definitive cause of death as a severe dog mauling. When news of the incident became public, many questioned whether the homeowner could face criminal charges. The Coweta County Sheriff's Office quickly addressed those concerns. Investigator Toby Nix confirmed that the homeowner would not be charged.
That's good.
Explaining that under Georgia law, homeowners are not criminally liable when their dogs defend the home during an active forced burglary.
That's good.
Because Alex died during the commission of a felony, the local burglary case was permanently closed, and his active outstanding warrants out of Fulton County were resolved. As for the 2 pit bulls, once their mandatory quarantine period ended, and the investigation proved they were entirely contained inside their own home during the intrusion, Animal Control returned them safely to their owner.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Because, you know, they look like they could fuck shit up, but at the same time, you know, they didn't do nothing wrong. Saw a stranger break into the house and realized that things were wrong and decided to fix it. You know, give those boys some extra treats, you know, when they get back to the house.
Number 4, Jonathan Hernandez.
Oh, hello to you too.
32-year-old Jonathan Hernandez moved quietly down the 46th Street Southwest block, scouting the side of a quiet residential home.
Right.
It was late at night on Saturday, December 12th, 2020, in a suburban neighborhood of Lehigh Acres, Florida.
Jonathan back in Florida.
Was no stranger to law enforcement. His criminal record included arrests for grand theft, probation violations, and even his alleged involvement in a fatal shooting. But there was another side to Jonathan. According to people who knew him, he was an aspiring rapper who recorded music under the name Taz UFO.
Are you fucking kidding me? What is it with all these rappers now having to put themselves out there doing crimes while they're bro, focus on your rhymes, man. You know, you ain't gonna get no money from your records if you fucking go to jail.
He posted videos online, and by 2020, had built a modest following of around 5,200 monthly listeners on Spotify.
That's not bad.
Looking for a quick way inside, Jonathan spotted a partially open ground floor window. From the outside, it looked like the perfect point of entry.
Yeah.
It was low enough to climb through without much effort, and just wide enough for a person to squeeze inside. But what the 32-year-old couldn't possibly see coming as his upper body crossed into the home was a freak mechanical failure that would turn a routine window frame into a brutal, inescapable trap.
Oh?
What Hernandez didn't know was that this wasn't an ordinary window. It was a hurricane window,
Oh.
the kind commonly installed on homes across southwest Florida to withstand powerful storms. Built with reinforced frames and heavy impact-resistant glass, these windows are significantly heavier than standard residential windows.
Bro, he ain't wrong, man. I remember when we moved into this house, right? A bird, I guess because the window was too clean, a bird flew into the window in the living room, right? Fucking bam. Hit his head hard on the window. Poor little bastard died like 5 minutes later. It was right there in front of the house. It was fucking terrible.
There was just one problem. The window's counterbalance spring had failed.
Ooh.
Normally, that mechanism supports the weight of the window and holds it open. Without it, the entire sash was no longer supported. It was being held in place by little more than friction, leaving hundreds of pounds of glass and metal ready to come crashing down if it shifted.
Oh, it's one of those that you open up. The ones here in the house, they open sideways. So that's a little different for us. But I'm starting to see where this is headed.
Jonathan raised the window and began to climb through. He got his body into the frame, half inside the house, half outside.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. It really looks like this guy's just using random fucking random screenshots of random shit, like some stock footage or whatever, because that does not look like the kind of window that this guy's talking about.
Working his way through the way a person does when they are trying to move quietly and carefully through a tight opening. In a split second, the heavy window sash failed completely.
Again,
it came slamming down like a
stock shot, not related to this.
His neck, pinning his throat with immense force against the bottom wooden sill. This is where the sheer physics of the situation turned absolutely terrifying. Jonathan's body was caught at a vertical dead weight. He was suspended roughly 5.5 feet in midair, completely dangling down the side of the house, half
that
inside
sucks.
and half outside. Because his feet were completely off the ground, he had zero floor leverage to push his body up and relieve the pressure. He couldn't push the window up with his hands because his arms were already stuck past the frame. The immense downward pressure of the window sash completely compressed his trachea and cut off the blood flow through his carotid
That'll
arteries.
do it.
Within just a few minutes,
Passed
positional
out.
mechanical asphyxiation took over.
Passed out.
Jonathan lost consciousness in the dark,
All that is.
completely trapped by the very house he was trying to breach. Later that morning, the Lee County Sheriff's Office received a frantic call about a suspicious site on the 46th Street Southwest block. When deputies arrived on the scene and shined their flashlights down the side of the property, they found a grim, deeply unsettling sight.
I bet they did.
Jonathan was dangling completely limp from the window frame.
Oh, he'd been
Paramedics
dead
rushed
at
to
that
the
point.
scene, but it was already far too late. He was pronounced dead right there against the side of the house. The Lee County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit immediately took over the scene. Public Information Officer Lieutenant Russell Park didn't mince words during the official media briefing, stating that Jonathan was no stranger to law enforcement and confirming that the department had officially ruled the entire incident an accidental death during an attempted felony burglary.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. What it sounds like. A very sad way to go. Like, don't get me wrong, what Homeboy did was absolutely bullshit and wrong, but damn, man. Getting choked out by the window. And also, imagine being the homeowner, right? You go home and you see this guy, this body just like on the window like this, right? This is the window, this the guy, like just kind of hanging out. That's gotta be spooky as shit.
But back out on the streets, the ruling didn't sit well with everyone. Jonathan was well known in the local Southwest Florida hip-hop community.
Right.
He was an aspiring rapper, engaged to be married, and left behind 5 children.
What the fuck are you... 5 kids. 5. 5. 5. And this is the bullshit you're doing. Bro, at that, when you got 5 kids, you got to give it up. You got to start being a family man, bro.
His fiancée, Patricia Duarte, and his close friends went to the local media to dispute the sheriff's narrative. They claimed Jonathan wasn't a thief, that he wouldn't have been breaking into a random house, and they demanded that detectives dig deeper into what happened that...
Oh, no, he wouldn't steal nothing. No, he just fucking, he just fucking spawned onto that goddamn window before it fell on his fucking neck.
Night. Despite the family's public objections, the physical evidence at the scene pointed investigators to a different conclusion.
It's pretty fucking
Damage
obvious.
to the window, the condition of the property, and the position of Jonathan's body were all consistent with an attempted burglary gone wrong. Investigators found no evidence to suggest otherwise.
Okay, stop it with the
And
repeating
that,
stock photos.
The case was officially closed. Number 5. Zachary Douglas. Around
He looks normal.
11:45 p.m. on a cold Thursday night in March of 2026, a homeowner on Northwest Braid Drive in Bend, Oregon, called 911 in a panic. A 36-year-old local named Zachary Douglas had just forced his way into the house.
Oh, shit.
And within moments, the 2 men were locked in a violent struggle. Then, just as suddenly as it began, it was over. Before officers could arrive, Douglas fled into the darkness, disappearing into the neighborhood, but he didn't get far. What officers found a short time later, just a few hundred yards from the house, turned an attempted burglary into one of the strangest deaths investigators had seen in years.
I bet.
Northwest Braid Drive is located deep inside Aubrey Glen, a highly affluent, gated country club development on Bend's exclusive
these people got this money.
side.
That's what this is.
These are million-dollar-plus properties backing directly onto a massive 18-hole golf course. It's the kind of neighborhood where people pay a massive premium specifically for gate-secured peace of mind.
Right.
Zachary Douglas was 36 years old. He lived in Bend. Beyond that, the public record on his background is thin. Court documents showed a guilty plea to driving while intoxicated in July of 2015, and a pair of traffic charges dismissed later that same year.
Okay.
That was the full extent of his verified criminal history. Nothing that would suggest the kind of man who ends up breaking into $1 million home in a locked neighborhood at midnight. Just before midnight, Zachary Douglas forced his way into the home.
Okay. So this guy had only ever done a DUI and a couple of traffic offenses. Okay, maybe only a DUI is not a really good way to put it, but you know what I'm saying. He's not a hard violent fella, you know.
He wasn't entering an empty house. The 42-year-old homeowner was awake, inside, and confronted the intruder almost immediately. The confrontation turned physical almost immediately.
That looks fake.
What followed was a violent struggle that moved through several...
Again, what's with the stock footage?
...rooms of the house. At first, it appeared to be just another home invasion.
Yeah?
But as the investigation unfolded, detectives discovered something that changed the entire picture. This wasn't a random burglary. According to the Bend Police Department, the incident had been targeted.
Oh?
Although investigators never revealed the exact connection between Zachary and the homeowner, they confirmed the 2 men were not strangers. As the struggle intensified, the 2 men made their way toward the upper level of the house. During the fight, Zachary lost his footing near the balcony and went over the guardrail, falling to the ground below.
Ooh. I'm not sure how far it actually was, because it's a stock photo. But like falling onto like a parking space, like a driveway, that can't be good for anybody's health. And what the fuck is this guy just not random obviously, but why is this guy trying to rob his boy?
It was a devastating fall.
I bet.
In moments of extreme trauma, the human body can do something remarkable. A surge of adrenaline floods the bloodstream, dulling pain and pushing the body to keep moving even after suffering serious injuries. Although the fall had likely inflicted catastrophic internal damage, Zachary's survival instincts took over, driving him to keep going. To the homeowner's surprise, Zachary got back to his feet, ran out of the house, and disappeared into the cold night. He fled.
Wait, how do you fall off the balcony and then run out of the house? How does that work? Isn't a balcony outside the house to begin with? You know, like the part where you go out to look out at the stars and shit?
Across the property and into the darkness of the nearby Aubrey Glen golf course. When Bend police officers arrived a short time later, they found the homeowner injured but alive.
Oh, that's good at least.
Zachary, however, was nowhere to be found.
Oh, he ran like a motherfucker.
Secured the house. Additional units spread out across the nearby Aubrey Glen golf course, searching the dark fairways and surrounding area with flashlights.
Right.
About 30 minutes into the search, one officer's flashlight caught something lying in the distance. As they moved closer, they found Zachary Douglas lying motionless on the golf course. Somehow, Zachary had managed to run several hundred yards after the fall, likely fueled by a surge of adrenaline. But by the
that
time
shit don't last
officers
forever.
found him, his injuries had become too severe to survive. Despite immediate efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead at the scene. News of Zachary's death quickly spread through the Bend community. A longtime local resident, he was remembered very differently by the people who knew him.
It looks like a nice neighborhood, I'll say that much. If this is the actual neighborhood. It's very nice.
His family and friends pushed back against early reports portraying him as simply a burglar, describing him instead as a loving son, brother, and uncle who was financially stable.
Right.
They shared those memories on a memorial page, adding another layer of emotion to a case that had already drawn significant public attention. Because Zachary died shortly after the incident, the criminal investigation effectively ended there.
Okay, I gotta ask. I mean, I know the police never released a reason, but it had to have been something major. Like, did the victim fuck this guy's girlfriend or something? Because trying to home invade somebody seems like a pretty huge escalation for, normal workplace shit or what have you.
Aside from a handful of minor traffic and vehicle-related offenses in Deschutes County, his record offered little insight into what led him to that house on Northwest Braid Drive that night. If there's one thing these cases prove, it's that crime doesn't just pay poorly. Sometimes, the universe extracts the ultimate price in the most unexpected ways possible. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another series. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Alright, I will say this, not a big fan of the AI voice. It's usually a mark down in my opinion, but the stories were interesting. That last one's weird as shit. Anyway, yeah, go check out Chalkline, and give him a shout out. Tell him I sent you. And until next time, God bless y'all. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have a good one.